parents and students, here's the homework for day 1. Let's talk about that. For number 1, it says list the factors of 15 and 10. Circle all the common factors. So I have them listed as 1, 15, 3, and 5. For 10, 1, 2, 5, and 10. The common factors are 1 and 5. For 2, I did a lot of stacking just to check my answer. So I always start from left to right after I've stacked. I stacked 52 and 8/100ths and 52 and 8/10ths. I stacked to just check to see which number is greater. So my 5 is the same, my 2 is the same, but here I have a difference. I have a 0 here and an 8 here. So 8 is higher. I circled that number, which lets me know that 52 and 8/10ths is greater than 52 and 8/100ths. So I read this as 52 and 8/100ths is less than 52 and 8/10ths. I did the exact same thing with 87/100ths and 78/100ths. I have an 8 in the 10ths place, which is more than the 7 in the 10ths place. 45 is greater than 42. So I have 45 and 25/100ths is greater than 42 and 52/100ths. Here I have 17/100ths and 7/10ths. So what I did was I stacked 17/100ths, and then I had 7/10ths, so I just put a placeholder there, and that makes it 70/100ths. I checked to see which numbers from left to right are greater. The 7 in the 10ths place is greater, so 17/100ths is less than 7/10ths. 18 and 3/10ths is greater than 18 and 13/10ths, as my 3 in the 10ths place is greater than the 1 in the 10ths place. Okay, solve using order of operations for each step. I have 84 plus 6 times 6 minus 3. Notice that this is the same problem over here, however my parentheses and my grouping is in a different place. So the first thing I do is I check my order of operations. Normally I write multiplication and division on the same line, but to save space for my equation I wrote them underneath. But I did draw an arrow for multiplication and division and addition and subtraction because we need to remember that these are equal to each other. We solve them depending on which one comes first. So the first thing I do is I solve my grouping. 6 minus 3 is 3. I rewrote the rest of my problem, 84 plus 6 times 3. The next thing I notice is I did have multiplication first, so I circled my multiplication and I solved. 6 times 3 equals 18. I bring down my 84, my plus 84, and then I add. 84 plus 18 is 102. For the next one, and then I wrote my answer up here. 84 plus 6 times 6 minus 3. Remember that I solved my groupings first. 6 times 6 is 36. I rewrite my problem. Now the next thing is I have addition and subtraction. That's all that's left, but I solve from left to right. So the first thing I solve is 84 plus 36, which is 120, and then I bring down my minus 3. So I solve my 120 minus 3, and although I know that 20 minus 3 is 17, I still stack to check my place value. So I stacked and I regrouped. Now I have 117 as my answer. Do I have the same answer? No, I do not. I have 117 here and 102, and parents and students, I would like for you in your own words to explain why. Okay, number 4, this is one of those problems where they have more information than what you need. So it says Girl Scout Troop 227 is sending 493 boxes of cookies to soldiers stationed in Afghanistan. If 16 boxes of cookies fit into one large box, how many boxes will be needed to ship all the cookies overseas? So the first thing I do is I box the information that I need. This is a part of the troop's number, and it really has nothing to do with the amount of cookies. Okay? So the next thing that I do is I look and I see, oh, okay, I have 493 boxes, but 16 boxes of cookies need to fit in a large box. So how many large boxes are needed to ship all cookies overseas? So the first thing I did was I divided 493 divided by 16. Okay, 16 could go into 49 3 times. I get 48. I subtract again and I get 13 after I bring down my 3. 13 cannot be divided by 16, so I add a 0 and then I start my decimal, okay? So there's where I put my decimal and I start adding zeros, and I can bring these zeros down. If I have 13, but I get 13 after subtracting from 0, I bring down another 0, and now my new number to divide into is 130. 16 times 8 gives me 128, so I subtract, and if you guys can see, this is a little bit sloppy as I went down into the line, but when I subtract, I get 2 left over from 128, taken from 130. So I bring down another 0 and I make it 20, and 20 divided by 16 is 1. I can continue with that and it could go on forever, but I like to stop at my second decimal and my second part of dividing, okay? So, sorry parents, give me 1 second. My light went off as my sensor. Should come back on in 1 second. All right, there we go, we have light. Okay, so what I like to do is stop at my second decimal point, which is 30 and 81 hundredths. So if I need to ship all cookies overseas and I have a remainder, that lets me know I need at least one more box to cover every single box of cookies. So instead of having 30 boxes, I need 31 boxes. Because if I have any left over, what am I going to do with those cookies? They also need a box. Okay? I will go through this one tomorrow, and I will also make sure that I go over day 3, and that will also be posted to eClass tomorrow, day 3. And then of course day 4, I ask that the students try to solve this one on their own. Have a great evening.